Oh,
Hello, hello, hello. This is Kathleen Langsdale, and I want to welcome each and every one of you that have come to join us tonight or late this afternoon for our breeder panel. We're here to talk about um, breeding, pet breeding, dog breeding, and how this has partnered with pawTree. So we're going to be talking with three of our top breeders in pawTree, and I'd like to introduce them and individually. We have, and you can just wave whenever I call your name. I want to start with Billy Jenkins, and Billy's going to tell you a little bit about her breeding business and also about her partnering with pawTree. And then we have Michelle Taylor. Is it Taylor, Michelle?
yes.
Yes, Michelle Taylor. And Michelle is from Utah. And then we have Melissa Gromley. Hey, Melissa, you can wave. And I think Melissa's on a little bit of a delay.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got a 30-minute.
Sorry. Maybe if I. Oh,
Just
that's not any better.
Okay, sit tight for a minute, Melissa.
Okay.
I would like Billy to share a little bit about Billy. Let me ask you a couple questions. Just tell us where you're from and how long you've been with pawTree and how did you hear about pawTree?
So I am from Western North Carolina, Mill Springs. If you know like the Asheville area, I'm about 40 minutes below that. I've been with pawTree since March of 2019, so a couple years for sure. And I had a breeder reach out to me and just tell me about it, and I worked at a holistic vet for 7 years, so already thinking like holistic minded and knowing about the food, it was like a no-brainer to go ahead and get with this type of program. It's been perfect.
Oh, that's great, Billy. Thanks. And what is the name of your breeding? What is the name of your kennels? Your kennel, your breeding?
Yeah, Silver Creek Doodles. So we have a few different. At first, I had done different websites. So Silver Creek Gold Doodles, Silver Creek Bernie Doodles, and Silver Creek Labradoodles. But just kind of all together, Silver Creek Doodles.
Okay, yes. We know we have one locally where I am. My daughter-in-law just got a puppy from Billy last weekend. So, and my grandson's here, and I asked him how she was doing. He said she's what, crazy? She's crazy. She's a puppy. When you have 5 children in a home, a puppy's going to, have a lot of fun and act up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they feed off of good energy. Well, good and bad energy.
They do. They do. So the next panelist is Michelle Taylor. I'd like, Michelle, could you share with us? I did mention you were from Utah. And how long have you been with pawTree, and how did you hear about pawTree?
Thank you. So I have also joined up in 2019, January of 2019. So I started off the year really good. And I heard about pawTree. I went to a breeder best practices meeting with Heather Gibson, and she is also a breeder. And she was also doing the mortgage on my home loan. So we got to know each other. And she said, "Oh, you've got to hear about this company." And so I heard about it from Heather Gibson and also just a couple of other breeders here in Utah that were getting together to just, powwow on how the best things, the best ideas. And I loved that because I'm always looking for ways to improve my breeding program. How can you not always be looking for something better? I'd even had a holistic breeder come to my home, and she would help me with best practices. Like I would hire her to come out and inspect my kennel, and she'd go over things with me. So I always love when something that's going to improve comes out. And pawTree was fairly new, but old enough to be really well established, but new enough to where it's fresh. I could get in early on, and I was super excited.
Great. And what is your kennel name?
It's called Tailor Made Mini Goldens.
Mini Goldens. Great.
Yes.
Nice. And now I'd like to introduce Melissa Gromley. And Melissa, would you tell us where you're from and how long you've been with pawTree? And how did you hear about pawTree?
Well, I'm from Home, Pennsylvania. My kennel is Plum Creek Acres. I have been breeding for several years, and I got a cold call one day from Kathleen when I was having a real bad day in the kennel. I had a dog that had diarrhea off and on for a year and a half. And that day she happened to have explosive diarrhea. It was jumped all over me. So I had dog stuff all over me. And I come into the house because the phone was ringing, and Kathleen's her cheerful self telling me she's seen one of my dogs. And I thought, oh, it's a puppy sale. So you have to put your salesman face on. And then she says, have you ever heard of pawTree? And I thought, oh my God, a telemarketer. So I said to her, you clear up my dog's poop, I will sell this stuff. Well, that's been 2 years and 10 months ago. And here I am on a breeders panel telling people how pawTree can change your life.
Well, thank you. Gosh, wow. What great
Wow.
stories. Thank you so much. And I happen to know each one of you and your breeding practices. And I am so impressed with each and every one of you and how you are so responsible in your breeding. And I love it. So, and that's really why you're here today. So I have a few questions. And then if we get questions in, I will be, share them with you. Let me ask, and you, whoever wants to jump in, you can. What has pawTree done for you since you enrolled with pawTree? And any one of you can jump in.
I guess I'll jump in. When I joined pawTree, I had diarrhea was a problem with us too. I feel like we were always having bouts of diarrhea. And one thing I learned at that best practice is that class that I did was about GastroPro Plus. I think that was the single most thing that invited me into pawTree was the GastroPro Plus, because I'd never really found a good probiotic that that also had like soothing herbs to heal the gut, and the digestive enzymes to help break down everything. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay. And it's just like Melissa, like, sign me up. Like, what can we do to help diarrhea? And
Exactly.
And it has been a game changer. As a matter of fact, like even with parasites, we had issues with parasites. And I feel like the GastroPro Plus really cleared that up as well by giving the dogs a healthier gut, because a healthy animal is not going to have parasites. Parasites don't prey on healthy animals. And so I knew that, and I knew there was just something missing. So getting my dogs on the good food, getting my dogs on the GastroPro, the fish oil, the CBD, kind of the whole, it kind of goes all together. We have not had a parasite outbreak in 2 years. So that's a huge thing for me.
Wow. That is that is a real story, Michelle. I hadn't heard that. So that's something I've learned today. Anyway, who else would like to share?
I forget what the question was.
What has pawTree done for you since you enrolled? I think Billy was going to jump in. Are you going to jump in, Billy?
Yeah, and I'm just going to kind of focus on the point too that not only is it like great products, but for the fact that it's packed full of so much nutrition, like the food. You would normally have to feed this amount for a dog to get, to keep the dog at a healthy weight and cleaning up a lot more poop with the old food, to where now you're feeding this much that's, packed full of all good stuff, no fillers, and a lot less poop, which is really nice, especially.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Hey, one of the mottos when pawTree first started was, it's all about the poop. Boy, we are hitting on that today.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Well, one thing I'd have to say pawTree has done for me is it gives us a source of people that we can talk to openly, because a lot of breeders, you say, hey, have you ever had Giardia? No, we never had Giardia. And every breeder probably has had Giardia, but nobody wants to admit it. And when you start talking to breeders here, we're open, we're a family, we want to help each other, even though we're not getting anything. Like, I'm not getting anything from Michelle. Michelle's not getting anything from me other than friendship. And she shared her contract with me. I mean, we are a family.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I really think for me, and I think each of you will agree that the community of support is very, very much a huge,
Mhm.
huge benefit of pottery, and something that you don't see every day. We don't see that anymore like we used to. So thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. I know the community is great, and I've made some really good friends, and um, I can't even begin to tell you how it's changed my life. So I think each and every one of you could go on about that too. So here's another question I'd like to ask you. How have you implemented it naturally into your current breeding business?
Oh,
Oh,
do you mind if I? So, after putting our dogs onto the food, um, I was one who tried it first just to make sure because, I wanted to make sure that this was something I was comfortable recommending. And so one of the things that we naturally made it part of our breeding program is that we recommend it to all the puppy families. We put our puppies on the food, and in our contract, I'm so confident with pawTree that after the 2-year health guarantee, which we give a 2-year health guarantee on all of our puppies, after the 2 years, if you've kept your puppy on the pawTree nutritional system, then I will extend that to 5 years. I feel like if a puppy had a really good foundation in health and nutrition and gut health, I feel really comfortable knowing that the dog isn't going to suffer from inflammation, the dog isn't going to have gastrointestinal problems. There's going to be a lot of things that are avoided, and I just love the it can provide like a residual income, kind of like an insurance. If I do have to replace a puppy down the road for whatever reason, hopefully the family's been taking good care of it and it won't happen. But if it does, pawTree does supplement my income to where it's not going to be a financial hardship on me to replace somebody's puppy later on down the road, because I have been having that residual income from the food and the different products that I've been selling. So I feel like it really works for me, and it really works for the customer. We can both help each other with this wonderful opportunity, and I'm so thankful for pawTree because there's nothing else out there like this that could help this way.
Well, I that's a wonderful point. And Michelle, I think you have a pretty deep story about your husband in pottery and your breeding business, and um, it's pretty
Oh yes.
profound for those that are considering, would like to, are looking at the opportunity, and that if you're in a breeder.
Yeah, would you like me to share that?
Yeah, real quickly, you
Real
could,
quick.
sure.
So I started doing pottery, and I worked the breeding business myself. It was my hobby. It was kind of our side hustle. And pottery, looking at the numbers after about a year of doing pottery, it was replacing my husband's income. My husband he has a degree, and he worked for an insurance company as an insurance adjuster. So he'd go around and assess property damage, and he would work about 13 hours a day, including commute, and he was gone. And we had 7 children at the time. Now we have 8, so we've added another one. We have a big family, and it was hard for me to do it all by myself and be alone. And once we started looking at the pottery numbers and realizing we're bringing in more income from pottery than my husband's income, and he had a good job, it was a well-paying job, we were able to retire my husband from his company and live off of pottery, of the income that we're making. And then he was able to come home, and we've grown our breeding business because he's here. I'm just not a one-man show anymore.
Wow, that's huge. That is really huge. Who's next? Melissa and Billy, you may be muted. It shows. Okay.
Yeah,
Now
I
you.
muted it when a plane was going over.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Who?
Well, it's
Who?
just natural when people, I have it on my website. So whenever they first contact me, they can go through the website and see everything they were feeding. And then like when I welcome people, after they put a deposit, I mention it again. When the puppies are 2 weeks, I'm constantly mentioning it and remind people to purchase the food ahead of time because puppies always do best if they stay on the same diet.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it is a godsend in between litters that you have income coming in.
Do you, Melissa, and do you think that also from a nutritional standpoint, I know we talked a little bit about
Oh,
about the
yes.
poop,
I
but
mean,
by having have you seen, since you have pawTree integrated in your business, have you seen fewer issues from pet parents calling back or about any nutritional or sicknesses or whatever?
out of the ones that people stick to it, because not everybody's going to stick to it, even though you increase the warranty and stuff like that, not everybody's
Yeah.
going to stick to it. And I still follow up with everybody 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 2 years down the road. And I had one lady says, I know I didn't do what you told me to, and my puppy has hip dysplasia, but it's probably my fault because I didn't keep her on the food, and I was letting her jump in the pool, and we spaded her at 6 months. And I mean, that is the only health issue that we've had pop up in the last couple years. Plus, my females, they bounce back so much better. It's not an embarrassment whenever this mother is nursing 10 puppies. She's able to keep her weight on. Her coat looks different. I mean, her coat still looks better instead of that blown her coat, and you can see every rib. I had one girl that I used to, when people come, I'm ashamed to say this, but when people come, I would have her sister come out because they look the same. But the mother was so bad. And I told my husband, I said, we've got to spay her because she's just not able to nurse puppies. And then I started on pawTree, and her coat looked so good and her weight was good. I said, well, I'm going to try one time breeding her and see if she stays nice and healthy looking. And on pawTree, she did wonderful. I mean, she nursed 11 puppies, and I didn't have to do the switch because I was ashamed of what my dog looked like.
Oh, that's awesome. Billy, how has, and how have you implemented naturally into your breeding business? And really also, you've answered both here. How has recommending the pawTree products improved your breeding program? So maybe you would share those two questions together. Oh, I think you're muted. Well, you're not, but why is it? We can't hear you. Oh no. What happened? It shows that she's not muted. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Maybe you could go out and come back in. And while she's coming back in, Michelle, maybe you could share how recommending pawTree has improved your breeding program. And maybe you did, and I'm.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely share. So, as far as helping improve my breeding program, I feel like, kind of touching on what Melissa said, I feel like my moms do better. I feel like they bounce back better. We had lots of issues with coat blowing, where their hair just all falls out. And I feel like with keeping them on the pawTree food, their coat stays. They cycle more regularly. I was having females that were cycling like every 14 months, and I'm like, what is going on? And we tried different foods, And I really being consistently on the pawTree has helped so much with having like the regular cycles and the better coat.
Great. Okay, Billy, can we hear you now?
Let's try it again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay, you're back.
Hey, Melissa, don't mute anymore. Might have something to do with it. I don't
Okay.
know. Thank you.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I do the same thing with the contract. You know, if they stay on the food, mine's 4 years, so maybe I'll extend it to 5. You know, but my biggest thing is with pawTree having 100% guarantee. You know, that's the easiest thing for my families. I think when I tell them, listen, order it. I know it kind of looks pricey, you know, but and I lay it out for them. Like if you're only feeding for this amount of time and it's less food and it's, this product, if I have some that are kind of iffy with the price, and I tell them, you know, it's 100% guarantee. If you're not happy, you know, with it, or if you need to change, you know, call them, and everybody will send me a message back that's ever had to do that and just say, we are so grateful. And they would overnight it or, you know, whatever, just to be customer service friendly. And they've done really well with that.
Oh, that's great. That is great. All these great points.
Another
Yeah.
thing I noticed, I don't know if you guys have too, less stillborns and stronger puppies at birth.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that. And I mean, to hear it coming from your mouth is very important because a lot of times, you know, you talk to a breed about that and you say that and they're looking at you like, yeah, right. Okay. That's but to hear you all say that's very you know, thank you for sharing that. I want to know if you have a favorite testimonial that you would like to share or something you'd like to tell others about your breeding business and how it relates with pawTree. And I'd just like to hear that.
Well, I can start with that one. I do doodles the majority of the time, but we did end up getting a silver lab. So we were going to have, you know, the diluted chocolate or diluted, you know, the black charcoals too. And, you know, silver labs can have the skin issue where they lose hair and stuff like that. Well, our mom never had that issue. Well, she had her puppies, and this was as soon as the Core 4 came out, like as soon as it started. And she had blown her coat, like not blown her coat, but she had no hair. And I was like, okay, I know some mamas can do this, but you know, it's a lab, like she's lost everything. So I went ahead and ordered like 2 of the Core 4s. Like, let's get this started right now, which the puppies have been gone for about 2.5 months now. Her coat is way prettier than it was before. Like so for it just to have done that quick, and I know it takes a long time after, but even when the puppies were still nursing, which is rare, usually when they get off, she was already growing her fresh coat back on the Core 4.
Wow. What a great story. Wow. Thank you for sharing.
I have a story as well. One thing that I was really impressed with pawTree is at our last leadership meeting, the developer, Brooke Sloat, she invited all of us breeders to come and just kind of have a little powwow with her. She wanted to know what it's like being on the, you know, out in the field. She receives, you know, emails and feedback, and she does her research, and she will spend time on the phone with you. I mean, I've had questions, and Brooke has talked to me for an hour, you know, just you know, strategizing. There is not a company out there that would you can talk to the developer of the product and then she wants your feedback too as a breeder on like how to package things for puppies, what would be easier for us, like sending a puppy home. I loved being able to have input on that. So this company is really hands-on, and you just can't find that anywhere.
Wow, you're right. I mean, I have been with pawTree myself for 8 years. And I honestly, I use 2 words when I think of pawTree: character and integrity. And this is something that everybody matters. And we all have a voice. Anybody here has a voice. To be sure, Roger, Brooke, and the entire home office team, they honestly do care about each and every breeder, every person, every pet owner. They have a real situation where they listen, and if they hear, I know at one point, didn't we had pea protein in the recipes, and I remember Brooke said to me, I went to the formulators said there is nothing wrong with it. There's no studies that have been confirmed, but my breeders say they want it out. I want you to take it out. And I'm like, wow. I mean, that says it all.
Wow.
So that's an example of how a company that really listens and cares and is tuned in to what's happening. So yeah, that's, to me, that's really important. Melissa, do you have a testimonial?
Well, I remember whenever, like the chicken and oatmeal, when they got the 2 plants and the one ran the old recipe, and how they sent us out an email and said, if you have any trouble, let us know. And they sent right away new food. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I remember one time I bought a food and my whole kennel got the craps. And it was the same food I had fed for like months. And I called the company and I said, something's going on. And they told me to make some rice and give them some hamburger and pumpkin. I'm thinking, for 20 dogs, you want me to cook? I don't even always cook for my family. But there I thought, there's this company that didn't need to email us, because not everybody would have had issue. But they stand by their belief, and the dogs come first. And they let us know that there was a possible issue, and if we had an issue, to let them know. I had a friend who also had, and I'm not going to say what company it was, she fed a dogs, and she lost $80,000 worth of dogs because of salmonella.
Wow.
That company gave her some coupons. I bet you that helped replace her dogs. Means to say that girl sells at least 1,000 or more a month now, because she likes the fact that pawTree emails when there's something going on.
We stand behind our products. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Each and every one of those stories are so valuable and so impactful, and just our testimony to how, feeding healthy nutrition within your breeding program is truly so important. And actually today, I mean, we're not going to get into it, but right now, today, what's happening in the pet food industry with after COVID, and with inflation and product shortages and manpower shortages, it's very frightening. It is very frightening. And, I just love the fact that Roger is committed to, he will not compromise on any of the product as far as quality. And that means so much to us, but to the pet parent. I mean, to the pet. I mean, the pets come first, and it's that in itself is an insurance that with pawTree, what you're getting, and it's going to be consistently the product that you started getting. Because I think today I know there's some articles out there. There's a lot of changes going on, and the national brands are having to change their recipes, and they're having to change up things because they claim they can't get the ingredients. And I'm not, that may be. I also, in my head, wonder if they aren't willing to pay the price of the ingredients that they want. Really are, they should be putting in the food. So we don't need to go there with that, but that's just a side note. So, how has pawTree, Michelle answered this. How has pawTree helped you financially? And as far as better litters, stronger pups and moms, less issues, we kind of covered all that. If anyone on the panel has anything more to share on that, I'd love to hear it.
Can you see me?
Yes, go for
Okay.
it, Melissa.
I can feed all my dogs off of my residual income, and I can also pay for my vet bills on that, and therefore it frees up my income that I already had tagged for that, and I was able to take that money and put it towards my mortgage, and I was able to pay my mortgage off. I'm able to pay a worker too off of what I make. And now I can spend a few days with my grandchild, where before I wouldn't have been able to do that because I was a one-man band.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Great.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
They're saying hi to you.
Yeah.
See,
Billy,
he's not at work. He'd be at work right now.
Yeah.
He's here with us, and actually he's going on the pawTree cruise tomorrow. So
yes.
that's
Yes.
another benefit. I'm not going to be able to go because we've got this guy. but that's another thing is that pawTree is a company that gives back to their people, and so there's opportunities to earn trips and get-togethers, and they hold wonderful trainings where they treat us like royalty, right, guys? Anybody who's been to a pawTree event comes away feeling like $1 million. I know I do.
We always do. Billy, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, it's not about, like, for me getting into this with the dogs, it wasn't about the money. And, you know, it's not about the money, you know, it's the fact of,
Right.
you know, providing good stuff, good products for your animals, you know, and, you know, they earn it, you know, themselves, they need that. But it's definitely, you know, a bonus that helps out for sure. If it is with, I know the first year, I think it had been right at a year. My birthday's in March, and I joined the March before, and I got to buy a new vehicle. And pawTree paid for it. I was like,
Yay!
Wow.
I was thinking, this is nice, just to be able to, you know, you're doing the right thing by, you know, using this good stuff for your pets, and, you know, letting your families use it, and also being able to get feedback from it. On not, you know, I say for our merchandise, but like for our pets out there being healthy, you know, and then to get, you know, to get income back from it is nice.
Great. Oh, that's awesome.
I wish I could go on all this stuff with the pawTree, but I'm always too busy. I don't get
I
to.
know. Well, we're going to get you there one of these days, Billy. We are. So, if I could just ask real briefly, what would you tell other breeders thinking about joining pawTree? What would you tell them? What would you, if you were to give them just a words of wisdom or a bit of advice or whatever, what would that be?
Who should go first? I can go first. I guess my advice would be don't wait. Just hop in and try it out. See what you think. You know, there's really nothing to lose and everything to gain. pawTree does, Billy touched on it, have an amazing customer service with a money back guarantee. So really, just jumping in and trying it, seeing it. I think my biggest piece of advice would just to be like, just give it a shot.
Great. Who wants to share next? Because this will be our last question.
Yeah, so definitely, like, pawTree helps you out to get started. You know, the first 3 months, you know, try it, you know, get in there, and, you know, they help you get started. If I know Kathleen, and I'll have to touch on this too, if it wasn't for you, I would not be where I'm at. I appreciate you so much because you've been there helping lead along, and that's what we all need to do for people underneath of us, you know.
Well,
It's a little hard to get started, you know, to get the, you know, the internet and, you know, on the website and learning everything. But if you put in the time and effort and you have people to help you, it's definitely worth it.
Well, likewise, Billy. It's a joy working with you. It's a joy working with all of you, and it's I thank you as well. Melissa, do you have any words of wisdom?
Yes. Take pictures of your animals before you start. Then
There
3
you go.
months, take pictures again. take a look at your puppies. Take a picture of a current litter on what you're feeding. And then if you feed pawTree for a litter, so you can actually compare apples to apples, and you will see an amazing difference. And then you'll be sold, because the dogs just, I mean, the coat, the poop. I took pictures of poop because I wanted to show Kathleen that it wasn't working. But then it turned out it did work. And I shared the poop picture with my husband at work, and he's like, "Why are you sending me a picture of a turd?" I'm like, "That's Dirty Girl's turd." And that was the first time Dirty Girl had a solid turd. I mean, and you will see, and you will be a believer, and then you'll be as passionate as we are. And when you're passionate, it goes over, and people can feel your passion and your belief. And also, just let them know, if you're not happy, you got 90 days.
That's right. And we talked a lot about the food, but I know each and every one of you do use a lot of supplements, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you use some of the shampoo
Oh
and some of
yeah,
the puppy products
smells
and the
amazing.
toys, and so there's so much more. But I want to thank each and every one of you so much for being here, for taking your time. And this is like dinner hour. So taking your time to spend with us, talking about your business and how your partnership with pawTree has been just a beneficial thing for you and for the puppies and for the owners, and really for the 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 dog population out there. Every time we send a puppy home with pawTree, we are doing something very positive in ensuring that that puppy is going to be on healthy nutrition. And I want to thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you. It
Thank
was an
you.
honor to be here. Thank you.
It's an honor to have each and every one of you. Have a good night.
You too. Have a good
Bye
trip.
bye. Thank
Have a good
you.
trip.
I will.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.